Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with your What a Deck profile. This week it's the Dragon Destroyer Turbo. I'm just going to go through the deck list, we'll name everything off, and then I'll explain how it works in the deck. So we've got 2 Flame Veil Guard, 3 Buster Blader, 3 Galaxy Dragon, 3 Elemental Hero Prisma, 3 Card D, 3 Companion of the Destruction Swordsman, 3 Destruction Sword, Dragon Buster Blade, 3 Emblem of Dragon Destroyer, 3 Cards of Consonance, 3 Pot of Duality, 3 Destruction of Swordsmaster Fusion, 3 Destruction Sword Flash, 2 Ojama Trio, and 3 DNA Surgery. For the extra deck, we've got 1 Dark Paladin, 3 Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer, Belial's the Diabolic Dragons, Scarlight, Red Dragon Archfiend, Red Dragon Archfiend, Scrap Dragon, Blood Mesfit, Stardust Spark Dragon, Buster Dragon, the Pre-Trample Dragon, Armades, Keeper of Boundaries, Ally of Justice Cataster, Castell, and Lacquer Magician. So the point of this deck is basically to get out this Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer. Cannot attack your opponent directly. This card gains 1,000 attack and defense for each Dragon-type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Change all Dragon monsters your opponent controls to defense position. Dragon-type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. So if you get that out, and you have DNA Surgery to turn all their stuff to dragons, you're looking at something that has at least 3,800 if they have 1 monster on the field and does piercing and negates all their or stops all their effects from even activating. If you can get Ojama Trio, then he's going up to like 50 or 60,000, or sorry, 5 or 6,000, and of course you could attack the Ojamas and do piercing. So you're just doing massive amounts of damage. Basically, the deck revolves around getting him out. In order to get him out, we use Destruction Swordmaster Fusion. That's lets you fuse a Buster Blader fusion monster using monsters from your hand or either side of the field. So if you have this, then you need Buster Blader and then either a dragon in your hand or a dragon on your opponent's side of the field. Obviously, if you have DNA Surgery, it makes their monsters dragons, so you can get rid of a lot of their big boss monsters and stuff like that. Even monsters that normally aren't affected by cards, you can use them as fusion material, just like you can use them for tributing. So, pretty nice. Otherwise, we have a lot of dragons in this deck that you can use. The main one is probably Companion of the Destruction Swordmaster. When he's summoned, he lets you get your Destruction Swordmaster Fusion, or you can get this Destruction Sword Flash, which is pretty nice. I'll go over that in a moment. Also, you can tribute him to special summon 1 Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard. So if Buster Blader's in your graveyard, you can get him out with this, and then use your Destruction Swordmaster Fusion. You can get him in the graveyard by using Elemental Hero Prisma. You can't use him as the fusion material, because this has to be fusion summoned with, like, the correct monsters. But you can use this to send Buster Blader to the graveyard and then get it out with this guy. He's also a Dragon Tuner, so is Flame Veil Guard, so is this guy. And I'll just run all of them, basically, so you can use Cards of Consonance for draw power. Because this is discard a Dragon-type tuner with 1,000 or less attack, draw 2 cards. So that's pretty much why they're here. They both have a little options. Otherwise, I mean, he's a 2,000 defense wall. This you can equip to a Buster Blader you control, and your opponent can't special summon from the extra deck, which is a good lockdown, although normally you've already won if you've got this out and something else. But it's just an option there to use. And of course, if you have them and your Buster Blader, you can make any number of these big level 8 monsters, including Belial's, because this one is dark. The rest of them, obviously, you don't need a specific tuner. The best one to use is Buster Dragon, the Pre-Trampler Dragon, or Precept Trampler, whatever this thing is. Because this will make all the monsters your opponent controls dragons as well. So this will work in place of DNA Surgery. And of course, if you really need to, once per turn, you can, if you don't control a Buster Blader, you can summon one from your graveyard. So that's just another way to get a Buster Blader out that you can use for the fusion, or just attack in general. Because once you got that out, Buster Blader gains 500 for every dragon type. So he can get up to like a good 3,000, 4,000 or so too, depending on what your opponent has. Galaxy Dragon. This card can only attack Dragon-type monsters. If this card attacks a Dragon-type monster, it gains 1,000 attack. Also negate that a monster's effects during the battle phase, as long as this remains face up. This is a good like stall wall because it's got 2,000. Obviously, if you get DNA Surgery, then it's 3,000 when it attacks your opponent's monsters. This is not my choice. This is left in. Aimless James made this deck originally. I tried to keep some of the stuff he had in here, and this was like a pretty good tech choice. I'd probably replace it with Twin Twister myself or some other dragon, but it's still pretty nice. It's a nice thing to surprise people with. Card D is just draw power. Emblem of the Dragon Destroyer lets you get a Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard, which is really good because if you already have all your Buster Bladers or they're already in the graveyard, you could still use this for your Destruction Swordmaster fusion. Card of Consonance is draw power. Pot of Duality is good in this deck, lets you add the specific piece you need, and then because your fusion is a quick play, you can just fuse during your opponent's turn. Oftentimes you're doing that anyway if you have DNA surgery, so you can just surprise them with it. Destruction Sword Flash, pretty nice if you control a fusion monster that has Buster Blader as its material. Banish all monsters your opponent controls. And then if this is in the graveyard and they target a Buster Blader with an effect, you can banish this to negate and destroy. Good card overall, not essential to the deck. Especially, it kind of works against this because this can't attack directly. But it's general for getting rid of... It's good for getting rid of big stuff, and it stops your opponent from targeting this with stuff. Saved us in a couple times. But again, if you're going to switch something out in certain situations, Twin Twister is probably better. This is the only like actual side deck card I would say you need in here. You need a lot of spell trap removal. Everything else is more like options from Aimless Jane's original version of the deck, which use the Chewbone, which summons 3 Chewbone tokens with 300 defense to your opponent's side of the field, along with Twin Swords of Flashing Light, which lets you attack directly by decreasing your attack by 500. So his was more, if you wanted to make this a more OTK deck, you run these two, and then you can give them 3 monsters with 300, and then attack with your Dragon Destroyer twice, and just do a massive amount of damage. Of course, Max C is also pretty good draw power in certain situations. Gold Sarcophagus if you've got the time. Reckless Greed, Jar of Greed. This had a lot more draw power. If you want the OTK version, you really need to get rid of a lot of these, like this Whelp, probably. The Flame Guard. Having the tuners isn't as useful. And as for the rest of the extra deck, like I said, most of these are level 8 dragon-type monsters that you can make with Buster Blader and one of these two, if you can summon him out. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can special summon this card, and you can equip it to a Buster Blader. So you can actually use a quick combo. If you get Buster Blader out, equip this to it, special summon it, sync for 8, and then this guy will let you summon your Buster Blader back, so you're pretty much not losing anything. And then we run these 2 level 5s just in case you get one of these tuners, plus your Elemental Hero Prisma or your Galaxy Dragon. And then level 4s, if you get 2 of these level 4s or 2 of these level 1s, just some options. None of these are essential to the deck. They're just there for, like, in case you have options. Oh yeah, and Dark Paladin. If your opponent... This is pretty much only here if your opponent happens to be playing Dark Magician. You can use Destruction Swordmaster Fusion and tribute their Dark Magician to make this, which is always a fun Trollsy play. Rarely comes up, but with Dark Magician support coming out, might be something to check out. So there's your deck profile for this week. Next week I'll be back with something else. I think I'm going to try Earthbound Immortals, but it's not set in stone yet. Until then, good luck, have fun.